Chapter 29, Grizzly Toupee. "He's on Alberta," exclaimed Soot as he landed with a bump in the fireplace of the kitchen, a black cloud of coal dust following him. "Yes," replied Stella without thinking. "I know. Her moustache just fell off." Aunt Alberta's sharp black eyes scanned the room.
"Who are you talking to, child?" she demanded. "Tell me, who?"
Stella followed her aunt's gaze. The woman was looking straight past where the ghost was standing. "Nobody," snapped the girl. Stella was desperate for her secret to remain a secret.
"What do you mean, nobody?"
Aunt Alberta was becoming more suspicious by the second.
"You looked right over there and spoke."
She pushed the girl down onto the chair before marching over to the fireplace and looking up the chimney. Soot edged to one side with his mouth now firmly shut.
"Hello,"
called Alberta up the tunnel. The word echoed up and down. "Hello, hello, hello." Hearing the echo, she couldn't resist actually shouting, "Echo!" It too echoed up and down. "Echo, echo, echo." "There's no one there," said the girl.
"Then who were you speaking to?"
demanded Aunt Alberta. Stella had to think fast. "I was just talking to my imaginary friend." The woman marched back over to her.
"My imaginary friend?"
she repeated, mocking her young niece's tone.
"What a big baby you are."
It seemed like Alberta had fallen for it.
"I haven't had an imaginary friend myself for at least 5 years now. What's his name?"
Stella said the first thing that came into her head. King Kong. It was the name of a film that she had seen that year, that year at the pictures with her papa. She had no idea why she chose that.
"What does this King Kong do?"
asked Alberta. "He's a giant monkey." Stella knew it sounded stupid, but by this time it was too late. Imaginary friends can, of course, come in all shapes and sizes. There are many strange ones children sometimes choose. A leprechaun, a Martian, a princess from Tudor times, a pixie, a talking teddy bear, the monster who lives under your bed, a friendly dragon, a medieval knight, a cave boy, a ventriloquist dummy, a kangaroo. King Kong. Alberta scoffed at the thought that her niece had chosen King Kong of all the things to be her imaginary friend.
"You are talking to a giant monkey? You really should know better by now. How old are you, child?"
"I'll be 13 on Christmas Eve." "Oh, yes, of course you will. That's just in 2 days' time," Alberta reflected. "Anyway, is this the same imaginary friend you were talking to in the garage last night?" her aunt went on. You heard me in the garage?" Stella felt sick to her stomach. She thought she had been spied on and had not the faintest idea. "Oh, yes," exclaimed the woman, a sinister smile snaking across her face.
"I heard every word."
Alberta took a pipe out of her pocket and lit it slowly. Slowly, she took a few puffs of her sickly sweet-smelling tobacco. It was clear the woman wanted to savour this moment, a moment where she could expound on her genius. And then, as the sound of flapping wings hummed down the corridor, Alberta looked away from her niece for a moment. Behind her back, Stella mouthed, "Hide!" to Soot. The ghost nodded just before the giant bird flew through the doorway to the kitchen. He was safely back up the chimney.
"Ah, good morning, my darling,"
Aunt Alberta said, as the owl came to rest on her arm. She gave Wagner a lingering kiss on his bill. The bird fluttered his wings and bobbed his head. Turning back to Stella, Alberta began again.
"Last night I was out in the garden putting the finishing touches to my snow owl."
"Snow owl?" asked Stella.
"Yes," continued the woman. "Surely you have heard of a snow owl, child? It's like a snowman, but more, how can I say?"
"Owly?" ventured the girl.
"Exactly."
Stella had spotted the huge, icy figure on the lawn. But she had no idea it was meant to be an owl. There seemed no end to the aunt's obsession with the large-headed species of bird.
Then I saw a light in the window of the garage, and I thought that was strange. And when I approached the doors, I heard your voice, and somehow you escaped from the cellar. Are you going to tell me how? The girl had to think fast. She didn't want her aunt to know she had used the chute. Then she might block it off, and all the chimneys. I I found a spare key to the door on the floor of the coal cellar. Alberta's eyes narrowed. Did you really? Yes. So I tiptoed upstairs and went to look, and that's what happened to the rolls. I thought you were probably asleep, so I didn't want to wake you. Murmured the woman. A likely story. And then I heard you talking about the tea being poisoned. I needed to find out exactly how much you already knew. I leaned on the door so I could listen in closer, and I must have leaned too hard because they burst open. I remember, exclaimed the girl. It was all coming together in her mind now, why Alberta had set up the elaborate plan of disguising herself as a detective. Yes, child, you very nearly saw me, but when you closed the doors again, I kept listening in. And then, when you said you're going to call the police, naughty niece, your auntie didn't like that. Oh no, your auntie didn't like that at all. The woman tutted playfully and smiled. That's when I started to hatch this ingenious plan of mine. So you cut the telephone line? Asked Stella. I knew there was no dialing tone. Exactly right. Then I picked up the telephone in my room and pretended to be the operator, and then the police. The suit I'm wearing I found tucked right at the back of your father's wardrobe. You won't be needing it anymore. You are despicable. I know. And I chose the name Strauss. Johann Strauss is the famous German composer of the Blue Danube, not to be confused with Johannes Strauss, who never composed a note of music, but did make terrific fudge. As he is my second favourite German composer. The moustache was trimmed au feather, coloured in with ink and stuck on with some glue, and as for the wig, I skinned the rat I was saving to feed Wagner, trimmed it with scissors to fit, and then pinned it onto my head. Alberta now whipped the thing off, revealing a shock of red hair underneath. Stella was horrified at the sight of this grisly toupee, especially on realising the rat's tail was still attached. Then all I had to do was disconnect my motorcycle from the sidecar, and I had you completely fooled. Clever, Auntie. Aunt Alberta was exceptionally pleased with herself. She was, in a word, smug. No, replied Stella. The woman's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, no? You're not that clever, Auntie. You gave yourself away. You let it slip that you ground up seeds from one of your deadly plants in your greenhouse and added them to our tea the morning of the crash. It was the perfect plan. Poison everyone and then blame it on the automobile accident, said Aunt Alberta lightly, before the tone of her voice darkened. But then I thought you had gone and ruined it by surviving. I knew the tea tasted funny, exclaimed the girl. I poured mine out into the pot plant. I wondered why my begonia had died, murmured Alberta. Anyway, when your father's will was read out, I realised I needed you alive long enough for me to get you to sign over the deeds anyway. I can't believe my idiot brother wrote that if you died, Saxby Hall was to be sold and all the money given to the poor. Who cares about the grubby little peasants? The girl fixed the woman with a stare. What you have to remember, Auntie, is that you can never win. Is that so? Purred Alberta. Yes, because I will never sign the deeds over. Never, ever, ever, announced Stella. Do what you want to me, but Saxby Hall will never be yours. Alberta smirked. It was as if the whole thing was a game to her. Then, child, let me introduce you to the Owl Rack.